What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Rando Commando show. The show where we pick a different topic every week, throw our 2 cents worth in, and have quite a bit of laughs. I'm Jonesy, he's Ethanuel, and this is the Rando Commando show. Let's get to it.
You know, Jonah, with the weather getting nice outside, like we also get off and frolf from time to time, which, in case people do not know what frolf is a combination of frisbee and golf, or frisbee golf.
Yeah.
It's just a shortened term for it. So with the weather getting nice out, we like to go and do that. And then when it hits summertime, I typically like to play softball in the summer. So it got me thinking, we should do an episode concerning sports.
Yeah.
So here we go. We're going to go right into it.
Okay, so we're going to be just talking about some generic sports things. Here's the first thing we've got going on. Which sport is the most exciting to watch?
See, now this is kind of difficult because I don't have actually like cable or anything like that. So like actually watching any sports, it's kind of like a hit and miss thing here.
Let's go record it on TV. Like if you had cable or whatever.
I would actually probably like to watch either soccer or baseball. Just because of the two sports, it's like, and football's also another good choice, but baseball and soccer, they kind of have a longer season, so it makes it much more like exciting to watch because you get to watch those a lot more games than football.
Yeah, for me, I like watching baseball. This is good. I also like watching football. Soccer, it's kind of weird because growing up, especially, I was like, I don't really understand soccer, so it's like it's really boring to watch. Just a bunch of people running around. I don't know what's going on. It just looks like the ball's just going everywhere. So I thought that was really boring to watch. But then I played soccer in college, and I actually learned a lot more about the game. So I actually enjoy it a lot more than I ever used to. So yeah, I really like baseball. I like watching soccer though too. Now that I actually know what's going on. So those are some of mine.
Which one is the most boring to watch?
Ooh.
That one's tough. Like really tough. Because for me, there's not a particular sport where it's like, I hate watching this sport or I hate watching this sport. The one I probably watch the least amount is basketball. I just really don't understand the rules, and I don't really I like the Spurs, the San Antonio Spurs, but other than that, I don't really I'm not a hard dedicated basketball watcher. I guess for me, it would be not so much more like the sport again. It would be more like if one team is just absolutely blowing out the other one, where you have a game where it could be like the Boston Red Sox are beating the San Diego Padres in an intermatch game where they're winning like 7-0, and it's like the bottom of the 7th.
I used to think that golf was the most boring sport to watch ever. It's like watching paint dry. But I don't know. My captain last summer was really into watching golf, and so he was like, "Oh, there's some more." I had never been golfing. It's kind of the weird thing about sports is that once you actually play it, I think you understand it a little bit better.
Yeah.
So I played a few rounds of golf, and I was like, hey, actually, I'm not super good at it. I was okay, but like I understood it a lot more, and I was like, all right, there's a lot more involved with it than just, hitting the ball. Is it still boring? Yes, it is still boring. For me, though, I think the most boring sport ever to watch is NASCAR.
Oh.
And I think probably get some hate. There's a lot of NASCAR fans out there. And for you guys, to each his own. Let's be honest. I mean, there's a bunch of people who are like, I don't even think soccer is a sport, and it's like, okay, we'll talk about that here soon. But I think NASCAR is pretty boring, to be completely honest. Okay, so what do you think is the most exciting sport to watch that's live?
Ooh.
Like if you were live somewhere watching it, if you were actually in the stands, where do you think?
For me, it would probably be baseball because of the fact that you might actually have a chance to get a baseball from
that is true. There is nothing greater. It's just I'm catching a fly ball.
That for me is like the most exciting thing. Granted, I've never been to a baseball game other than the local Lincoln
Salt Dogs
baseball game, and so I actually do have a baseball from a Lincoln Salt Dogs game.
Nice, I do too.
And so so for me it's like
memories.
Yeah. So for me it's like it comes down more to the fact of being like, okay, I can actually get a souvenir from this. Whereas like footballs and soccer and stuff like that, they do safety precautions, which I get it. It's probably more expensive to buy a whole caseload of footballs than a whole caseload of baseballs.
Right.
There's nothing. I have nothing against it. But for me, it's definitely baseball to watch live.
I think Yeah, that's also pretty good. I haven't been to a soccer game besides, my college games, but I think that would be kind of fun to watch. But I also remember growing up going to the Nebraska Cornhuskers football games, and those were pretty great. It was pretty fun. The thing about baseball is, like you said, you can catch the fly balls and stuff, which is cool, but there's also, I don't know, I feel like you can see the action happening a lot more. There's less stuff to concentrate on. Whereas in football, if you're in like the nosebleeds or something, you're like, I see a bunch of people on the field and I have no idea where the ball is or what's happening. So, yeah, I think I would agree that baseball it's easier, I think, to get the action, pretty much right there where you're watching. So, yeah, I think I would agree. So now this is the question that a lot of people are probably waiting for and expecting. What do you think defines a sport? Is fishing a sport? Are video game tournaments a sport? What do you classify as a sport?
Now this one is extremely tough because I get physical aspect. I feel like you have to be physically fit to for it to count as a sport. So for me, the easy ones off the top of my head are soccer, baseball, football, basketball. For me, that's those are all considered sports. Volleyball, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
All those I'd be like, yes, those are easily sports. Fishing, I think fishing is more of a hobby than actually a sport. That doesn't mean that I don't think that fishing is a sport. I just think more fishing, I go, are you gonna go fishing? Yeah, let's go fishing, more than being like, let's grab a buddy and go fishing rather than going actually a sport. But I do understand that there is competitive fishing out there and people actually do that for a living. That being said, I'm not trying to offend you guys in any way, shape, or form, but I just don't think of it as a sport. I think of it more of as a hobby.
I think there's a difference between sports and competitions. Ooh. I think maybe not the final line, but I feel like you can have a lot of competitions where people are definitely skilled at things, but I don't know if that would qualify as a sport. It's like people are also thinking video games or chess or just things that aren't necessarily as physically active but are definitely mentally taxing as well. So I don't know, when I think of sports, I think of something that requires physical, not just participation, but strenuous physical activity. So yeah, like you were saying, basketball, soccer, football, all of the ones that involve lots of running, lots of coordination, those kinds of things. That's what I consider a sport. But kudos to those people that do those other things too, because it definitely takes a lot of time and practice and other things as well.
And going back to the fishing topic, there are people that do competitions and they catch those huge fish and they're spending 4 hours sitting in their seat trying to reel this guy in.
That takes dedication. Yeah,
dedication
sure.
And strength and physicality. Mm-hmm. But like I say, I consider fishing more of a hobby than an actual sport. I have nothing against people that say fishing is a sport and that I'm wrong in thinking that way. I have nothing against fishing as a sport. I just think, all in all, I consider more of a hobby than an actual sport.
Mm-hmm. I wonder maybe if some of those things, it's fishing is something you can do leisurely, whereas if you're like, oh, I'm gonna play a game of soccer or play a game of basketball, I suppose you could do those practicing and stuff leisurely, but if you have an actual game going, it's well, things are a little bit more intense. I could take a nap and fish. I could. Not saying that that's the best way, but
there's other stuff that you can be doing with fishing. A lot of times what we do is get a campfire going and we
just kind of hang out and relax.
Get s'mores and hot dogs. Stuff like that. Video game tournaments, I don't consider that a sport at all. The reason why I think that is you have those hardcore gamers that spend time and dedication in a particular game and they can become very good at it. And for those people out there, hey, major kudos to you guys. I don't think there's a guy out there who can play a sport, a game Taken 7 or even a competitive gameplay like Mortal Kombat or something like that and be very good at it. But the reason I don't consider it a sport is you're going to always get those one gamer, the one person out there who's going to button mash and they're going to beat you and you're going to get very upset.
Right.
That is why I do not consider video games as a sport. I think of it more, again, like a leisure activity or something
or a competition. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's just for me. It's just I don't see it as being a physical sport. or being like a sport, because like I said, you're gonna get those one people that are just going to spam the heck out of you purely to spite you.
I kind of wonder if you take athletes from, that might also be another good distinguishing factor, is if you take athletes, if you take a soccer player or basketball or football or whatever, and you have them do other sports, like we're saying, that's something they could do. They're like, oh yeah, I'm athletic, I can go do these things. Whereas if you had someone who plays chess or even fishes, or and you're like, oh yeah, I need you to go play a game of soccer or basketball or something, and they're like, I'm not athletic. So that might be the distinguishing factor for me anyway. I know people who have played video games professionally and like in tournaments and stuff, and that's cool, but I do wonder, if that's as physically demanding as some of the other activities.
Maybe on the mind, but maybe not physically on your body.
So maybe mentally, required. Yeah.
Well, guys, that's going to be the end of this particular episode. We really hope you enjoy it, and please leave comments on the video below.
Yeah, and these are just some of our favorite sports, and yeah, just if you disagree with us, that's perfectly fine. Let us know in the comments what you think about kind of this stuff, and yeah, if you don't find us on here, find us on social media as well.
So, well, thank you guys so much, and this is the Rando Commandos signing off.